Before you scroll away, hear this for 1 minute. Some people do not stop loving you when they go quiet. They stop speaking because what they feel is too heavy to hold in open hands. And if someone has been on your mind late at night, if their silence keeps pressing against your chest, if a part of you still feels them even when nothing is being said, then stay with me, because what looks like distance is not always the end. Sometimes it is fear, sometimes it is pride. Sometimes it is a heart that cares so much it no longer knows how to act normal. You may think they forgot you. You may think you imagined the connection. But there are moments in life when the truth lives underneath words, underneath delay, underneath the cold mask people wear when they are trying not to break. So do not decide too fast. Do not call every silence rejection. Some souls go silent when love becomes real. Some people pull back when they start feeling too much. And tonight, if your heart has been tired from acting like it does not care, this message may be the one thing you needed to hear. Listen closely, because the next few moments may explain a pain you have been carrying in silence for far too long. There are nights when the heart becomes still, not because love is gone, but because it is waiting, watching, hoping it will not be misunderstood again. And maybe that is where you are right now. Part of you wants to let go and protect yourself. Another part still whispers that something real exists between you and this person, something unfinished, something alive beneath all the confusion. The truth is, someone may love you more deeply than you can see, not in a loud way, not in a perfect way, not with smooth words, easy timing, or brave speeches, but in a trembling way, in a hesitant way, in a way that shows itself through small memory, hidden attention, restless silence, and emotional distance that covers fear more than indifference. What most people miss is this: not every silent heart is empty. Some hearts become quiet because they are overwhelmed. Some people feel deeply, but the moment those feelings become serious, their inner world starts shaking. They do not know how to carry closeness without fear waking up at the same time. So before you tell yourself that none of it mattered, slow down and look deeper. The story may not be as simple as your pain is trying to make it. Stay with me, because this is where most people finally begin to understand what silent love really looks like. When someone truly touches the hidden places inside you, they do not only reach your smile or your surface, they awaken the parts of you that were buried long ago. The lonely part, the insecure part, the part that still wants to be chosen without having to beg for it. Real connection does that. It does not just comfort you, it exposes you. It brings old wounds to the surface. It makes forgotten fears stand up and start walking through your mind again. That is why someone can care deeply and still pull away when things start becoming emotionally real. It sounds cruel, but in many cases it is not cruelty at all. It is panic. Love is not only warmth, love is exposure. Love is standing emotionally unarmed in front of another person and hoping they will not use your softness against you. But many people were never taught how to live inside that kind of honesty. They were taught how to survive disappointment. They were taught how to look strong, how to stay guarded, how to hide emotion, how to keep moving after pain. But they were never taught how to receive healthy love without suspecting danger. And once your presence begins affecting their mood, once your attention starts calming them, once your absence feels heavier than expected, their fear may wake up before their courage does. This is why emotional distance can be so confusing. There are people who become cold because they do not care, but there are also people who become distant because they care too much and do not know what to do with it. The second kind is harder to read because their actions fight against their feelings. Their heart leans toward you while their fear keeps dragging them backward. One side wants closeness. Another side keeps whispering, what if this ends badly? What if I get attached? What if I lose control? What if I get hurt the way I was hurt before? So they begin protecting themselves from pain that has not even happened. Maybe you have already seen the signs. The warmth followed by silence. The deep eye contact, then the sudden withdrawal. The way they remember little things about you with no effort. The way your name changes their energy. The way ordinary conversations feel charged with something neither of you fully says. And yet, there is still a wall, something blocked, something tense, something unfinished. It can feel like their soul keeps stepping toward you while their mind keeps pulling back. And that contradiction is not random. It often comes from emotional wounds that were never fully healed. Keep listening, because once you understand this pattern, many things that felt personal will start making painful sense. Most emotional wounds do not look dramatic from the outside. They hide in habits, attachment patterns, defense systems, and quiet forms of self-protection. Some people disappear emotionally the moment they start caring deeply because closeness reminds their nervous system of pain they never fully processed. Maybe they once opened up and got abandoned. Maybe they learned as children that showing emotion led to rejection or shame. Maybe vulnerability once humiliated them so badly that now their body reacts to intimacy like it is danger, even when their heart is begging for connection. And the hardest part is this. Many of them do not even understand their own behavior. They think they are confused. They think they need space. They think they are being careful. But underneath all of that, their old pain is driving the wheel. A person can love you and still sabotage the bond because deep inside, love and risk became tied together. They crave closeness, but closeness wakes fear. They want tenderness, but tenderness makes them feel exposed, so they send mixed signals without meaning to become cruel. That does not make the behavior healthy. It does not make your pain less real, but it does make the picture deeper than simple rejection. And if you have been blaming yourself for their inconsistency, pause here and hear this clearly. Another person's fear of intimacy is not proof that you were too much to love. True love asks for more than passion. Passion is easy. Desire is easy. Intensity is easy for a moment. What is hard is staying emotionally honest when fear enters the room. What is hard is removing armor piece by piece after years of using it to survive. What is hard is trusting calm love when chaos has always felt more familiar. That is why silence is not always emptiness. Sometimes silence is emotional processing happening under the surface. Some people speak as they feel. Others go inward when emotions become too strong. They disappear into thought, confusion, memory, pride, and internal conflict. Their silence is not always punishment. Sometimes it is survival, but this creates heartbreaking misunderstandings. One person feels abandoned, the other feels overwhelmed. One interprets silence as lack of love. The other thinks silence is the only way to stay in control. And slowly, two people who care deeply begin drifting apart, not because the bond was fake, but because fear became louder than communication. This is where many people give up too early. They expect real connection to always look clear, smooth, and easy. But deep emotional bonds rarely begin that way. They shake loose everything hidden. They reveal your fear of not being enough. They reveal their fear of needing someone. They turn love into a mirror, and not everyone is ready for what they see in that reflection. That is why some connections feel almost spiritual, almost impossible to forget. They awaken parts of you that had been asleep. They show you your loneliness, your need for reassurance, your habit of overgiving, your fear of being left, your quiet hunger to be loved without performing for it. And the other person may be going through the same storm in their own private way. They may lie awake replaying your conversations while acting normal in daylight. They may fight the urge to reach out because pride keeps interfering. They may miss you badly while convincing themselves distance is necessary. This is one of the saddest truths about human emotion. People often hurt the ones they love most because those are the only people who can truly hurt them back. Once you see behavior through that lens, you stop interpreting every confusing action as proof of no love. You begin to notice defense mechanisms hiding inside delayed replies, emotional inconsistency, sudden withdrawal after intimacy, and the strange tension that appears when feelings get too close to the truth. None of these patterns are healthy when they remain unchanged, but they are human, very human. And maybe that is the painful truth your heart needed. Not every emotionally distant person is empty. Some are exhausted. Some are carrying years of silent grief. Some crave tenderness and panic the moment they receive it. Some forgot how to trust anything gentle because chaos trained them to expect pain. But there is another side to this, and you must not ignore it. Love by itself is not enough without emotional growth. You cannot heal someone who refuses to face their own patterns. You cannot keep sacrificing your peace and call it devotion. You cannot keep starving while calling crumbs a feast. Real connection needs mutual emotional responsibility. Compassion matters, yes. Patience matters, yes. But so do boundaries, so does self-respect. Understanding someone's wounds should never require abandoning your own needs until there is nothing left of you. Mature love does not beg endlessly. It does not chase until dignity breaks. It does not keep proving worth to someone who remains locked inside fear and pride. Mature love gives space without disappearing from itself. It stays kind without becoming weak. It stays open without accepting endless confusion as romance. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop forcing closeness and allow the other person to face themselves honestly, because change cannot be dragged out of a soul from the outside. A person changes when repeating the same emotional cycle becomes more painful than breaking it, so if this connection is real, it will eventually ask both of you to grow, not just feel, grow. And if growth never comes, that also tells you something important. Listen carefully, because protecting your heart is not the same as closing it forever. Maybe this connection came into your life not only to give you love, but to wake you up, to show you the difference between attachment and true emotional alignment, to teach you how deeply you crave reciprocity, not just chemistry, to force you to notice how often you ignored your own intuition because you were afraid to lose someone. Think about that. Were there moments when your inner voice already knew the truth before your mind accepted it? Moments when you felt their feelings, even when their words did not match? Human beings are more intuitive than they admit. We read tone, silence, body language, timing, eye contact, nervous energy, and tiny emotional shifts long before logic catches up. That is why some people remain unforgettable. Not because they were perfect, but because they woke something deep inside you. And awakening is rarely comfortable. Sometimes it arrives through longing, sometimes through confusion, sometimes through emotional distance that forces you to sit with your own unmet needs. Pain has a strange way of stripping away illusion. It shows you where healing is still needed. It reveals what you settled for. It reveals how much of your self-worth was tied to another person choosing you. So maybe this story is not only about whether they love you, maybe it is also about whether you are learning to love yourself enough to stop losing your center inside uncertainty. That lesson matters because without it, even real love can become a place where you slowly disappear. Maybe they are changing right now in ways you cannot see. Maybe your absence has forced them to feel what they kept pushing down. Maybe they are starting to understand that silence does not protect love forever, it slowly suffocates it. Many people reach a point where loneliness becomes heavier than vulnerability. And when that moment comes, something inside them begins to shift. Not perfectly, not all at once, but slowly. They start seeing the walls they built. They start noticing how often fear has been making their choices. They begin to understand how many chances for real connection they ruined while trying not to get hurt. This kind of realization can change a life. But while they face their own awakening, do not let uncertainty destroy your sense of worth. Do not let another person's confusion make you question your value. The way someone responds to intimacy often reflects their relationship with themselves far more than your value as a human being. Many emotionally unavailable people are not withholding because you are unworthy. They are withholding because they are terrified. Terrified of needing someone, terrified of losing control, terrified of being seen too clearly, terrified of being left after finally opening up. And the deeper they feel, the more vulnerable they become, and the more their fear can rise. That is the contradiction. They want closeness while resisting it at the same time. Still, you cannot carry the emotional weight for two people forever. You can understand someone deeply and still decide not to excuse endless inconsistency. Compassion should never become self-destruction. This is one of the hardest lessons sensitive people ever learn. Love should make your spirit larger, not slowly erase your peace. And yet, for all this complexity, there really are connections worth fighting for. Rare bonds where two people slowly learn each other's fears without turning them into weapons. Bonds where walls soften with honesty. Bonds where healing becomes more important than ego. But those connections require courage. They require accountability. They require truth spoken at the right moment instead of feelings hidden behind pride forever. They require two people willing to stop running from themselves, because every serious relationship becomes a confrontation with the self. If you cannot face your own fear, your own jealousy, your own loneliness, your own need for control, then you will keep repeating the same pain in different forms. That is why inner work matters. Not just romantic words, real inner work. Facing the parts of yourself you usually hide, the fear you cover with silence, the sadness you disguise as independence, the longing you call weakness, the wounds you pretend no longer affect you. Until those hidden layers are faced honestly, relationships keep circling the same fire, hoping for a different ending while using the same patterns. And maybe this is why the connection still feels alive to you. Real emotional conflict does not happen over people who mean nothing. Indifference is simple, it is flat, it is cold and easy to read. But when someone loves you and fears you at the same time, Their energy becomes charged, inconsistent, intense, confusing. You feel the pull even when their mouth says little. You feel something unfinished. You question yourself because nothing is fully clear, yet nothing feels fully dead either. And yes, intuition can be real, but let wisdom stand beside it. Do not turn pain into proof. Do not romanticize suffering forever. Do not become addicted to emotional uncertainty just because intensity feels meaningful. Some people stay trapped in painful bonds because unpredictability creates a kind of emotional addiction. The highs feel powerful, the lows feel devastating, and the nervous system starts calling that pattern love. But healing changes attraction. Healed people stop chasing confusion to feel alive. They begin wanting steadiness, clarity, honesty, and peace. They stop calling emotional unavailability depth. They stop trying to earn love through suffering. Maybe that is part of your transformation now. Maybe this connection entered your life not only to test your heart, but to raise your standards, to teach you that your soul deserves reciprocity, not guessing games forever. And that lesson may become one of the most important gifts hidden inside this ache. If this person truly loves you, they may be fighting battles you cannot see, battles between old hurt and new hope, between habit and honesty, between self-protection and surrender. Maybe somewhere tonight they are replaying your voice in their mind. Maybe they are wondering if it is too late to tell the truth. Many people fear rejection, yes, but what they fear even more is regret. They fear one day realizing that silence itself became the reason they lost what mattered most. That is why some of the deepest feelings in human life stay hidden beneath restrained behavior, not because that is healthy, not because silence is beautiful, but because people are emotionally imperfect, carrying old scars while still longing to be loved completely. At the center of so many silent connections is one simple fear. If you really see me, will you still stay? Many distant people secretly believe they will disappoint the ones they love, so they create distance early thinking it will hurt less later. But guarded love still hurts. Silent love still aches, unspoken truth still leaves scars, and eventually the heart grows tired of carrying feelings that were never said plainly. That is why emotional truth matters so much. Not performance, not manipulation, not dramatic speeches, just simple truth. I am scared, but I care. I do not fully understand myself, but you matter to me. I have been confused, but losing you hurts. Those honest moments can change everything when they finally arrive. Until that moment comes, do not lose yourself in waiting. Keep healing, keep growing, keep becoming emotionally whole no matter what happens next. Your worth does not shrink because someone else is still at war with themselves. You are not too much for wanting clarity. You are not difficult to love for wanting consistency. You are not unrealistic for wanting emotional presence you can breathe inside. Never let wounded people convince you that your needs are excessive just because they are uncomfortable facing intimacy. Healthy love may never be perfect, but it should feel safe enough to rest in. And one day, whether with this person or with someone whose heart is ready, you will know what it feels like to stop decoding every silence. You will know what it feels like when affection is no longer trapped behind fear. Maybe this story still has reconciliation left in it. Maybe it has closure. Maybe it has awakening. Maybe it has one last truth both of you still need to face. Only time will reveal that. But do not ignore the quiet knowledge inside you. Someone may indeed love you deeply, imperfectly, silently, inwardly. And sometimes people need time to become emotionally capable of the love they already feel. So protect your peace, but do not turn your heart to stone. Stay wise, stay open, stay awake. Because the people who still believe in real love after disappointment are often the ones who finally experience it in its deepest form.